1 in 5 San Francisco home sellers take a loss on their sale in 2024. Welcome back to Sean Realty Podcast. This talks about the San Francisco and some of the markets that have experienced very high, fast appreciation in 2022 and 2021. Some of the sellers who have to sell right now, they're taking loss, and the losses are pretty big. So based on the new data from Redfin, nearly 1 of 5 homes that sold in San Francisco during the 3 months of 2024, so that's January, February, and March, sold at a loss, which was the highest in 11 years. And the national share of the sellers taking a loss is the highest it has been since May of 2021. But the rest of the country isn't suffering that much. But in San Francisco, a typical homeowner who sold at a loss parted with their home for about $155,000 less than that they bought it for. That's the largest dollar loss in any major metro. In the countrywide, its median loss is about $39,000. So some San Francisco sellers are losing money because they bought the homes when the price was at the peak during the pandemic. Let's face it, the interest rate was super low, and at the time people wanted more space. And back then, the big companies yet have not really moved out of the downtowns and big cities. So the San Francisco was still sort of intact or holding the values well. Now, San Francisco's median sale price peaked at $1.66 million in April of 2022 and has since fallen 15%, that's $250,000, to $1.41 million as of a few months ago. So yeah, I mean, typically the person who bought in San Francisco in 2021 and 2022, they're taking loss. One lesson here is that if you don't have to sell, obviously don't take the loss. Just hold on to the property. And that's what happened in 2007 and 2008. If they had to sell in 2010, they took a lot of loss, close to 30, 40, 45%. But people who held on to their property actually doubled their value in 2024. That's been about 16 years now. Yeah, about 16 years. So the local agent mentioned in San Francisco, the home prices have fallen their peak, especially when it comes to condos. Obviously, the condos are in downtown area, and downtown areas have suffered significantly. One was because of the office demand declined significantly because people worked at home, and some of the companies moved out since the COVID. So yeah, I mean, they're saying that the San Francisco has lost some of its appeal post-pandemic. Here we go. A lot of tech employers and big-name retailers have moved out of the city. And some of my clients have reported that they're leaving the area because they don't feel as safe as they used to. So right now I'm working with a young couple who moved out of San Francisco. I don't know where they lived in San Francisco exactly, but when they first came here, it was last year. They're still looking for a home, by the way. They're kind of looking for some unique property, so we're still searching for. However, when they came here, I told them, hey, if you're thinking about downtown Portland, maybe you should go into some of the areas in downtown and see how you feel. So I told them to go to Chinatown, which is one of the more rougher neighborhood right now, because I had a condo listing last year, and I lost the lockbox. Somebody took a lockbox, and I didn't feel safe at the time. So I told them to kind of, drive around the neighborhood and see how they felt about that neighborhood. I figured that would be the benchmark. If they felt like, oh no, this is not good, then I knew not to recommend the homes in that neighborhood, right? So when they went there, they basically told me it wasn't bad compared to San Francisco downtown vibe. So apparently even during the pandemic, San Francisco downtown was much worse. In my opinion, Portland downtown has been improving a bit and then going back a little bit, getting worse, and then improving a little bit, going back. It's just back and forth, back and forth. That's what I feel whenever I go out there. But to give you a reference point, San Francisco downtown suffered a lot more when it comes to all the side effects of the social movement and pandemic and everything like that. Interestingly, in Detroit, for example, the median sale price is down roughly 20% from its peak, pandemic peak. Additionally, housing markets in Detroit and Chicago have suffered because they're typically among the U.S. metros. Home buyers are likely to leave. And it makes you wonder. It's probably due to the safety, some of the affordability, maybe overcrowded. My dog wants to go out. Hold on one sec. Here, go. Nice, go. Go. Now you don't go. Okay. Yeah, my dog does that like 10 times a day. And then the other key point here is that sellers in New England and Southern California least likely to take a loss because they're holding the value better. So, looking at this article, a few key points that I wanted to kind of remind you of. The first one is the downtown and urban area suffering the most with less like office space occupancy and less demand. That's the obvious one. So the condo market suffered the most. In fact, downtown condo market suffered way more than single family. It seems like many of the homeowners from downtown condo areas moved out to suburban neighborhood because of the safety issue and wanting more space. A different county too, based in Portland Metro. The second point that I want to make is that the condos may appreciate less because of this issue that I just talked about, and as well as there's some other volatilities as like special assessment. If the whole building has to be maintained, then there's like let's say $500,000 price tag exterior maintenance cost. The homeowners have to split that up and pay that one portion, their portion of that repair cost. And that's called a special assessment. And when that happens, you can't really finance the property, which means buyers cannot buy with a loan. You have to pay cash. And when that happens, typically, from my experience, condo price drops about 20 to 40%, sometimes even more. So those volatilities and the other bigger impact, in this case, like the downtown impact, the condo market is suffering. So if you're thinking about long-term appreciation, condo may not be one of the best sort of like class of the real estate that you can get. I like single family home or duplex or triplex, that type of thing, and it has a less HOA fees too. And then if the homeowners can hold on to property on all these cities, by the way, I mean they could just ride it out until the price catches up to what they pay for. But because they bought at the peak and now they have to sell, that's the problem. And so this kind of in return, it can give you two things. When the market is so hot, when you have to compete like 22, 30 offers, maybe you need to set a highest price that you want to pay for that property and not go over that. That's one thing. And then the other lesson is obviously, if you can hold on to it, whatever the cost, as long as you don't have to move out of the city, just holding on to that property long term will make sense in this case. And to me, when I see like Detroit like losing 20% of the home value, you have to look at what happened 4 years ago or 3 years ago? They appreciated way more than 20%. They probably had about close to 25, 30%. Same thing with San Francisco. And this is a part that the market, the free market, just adjusting its thing. It's called a micro adjustment. My dog tapped again. We'll see if he'll go this time. Alex, go. Go. Yes, thank you. Now he left. So he's going to tap back in soon. So you have to know that when the market goes up 20% in 1 year, you can't expect that it's going to continue that trend. It's going to have some kind of adjustment. You can't see this kind of graph in any market, right? So it goes up. It went up like 30%. Now it dropped about 20%. And more likely it's going to have some support level and it's going to go back up again. And that's the part, the other part that I want to point out is that nobody knows when the bottom is. Looking back in 2010, people didn't think that that would be the bottom because bottom was about 2011. But if you bought in 2010, you got a great deal. You got an excellent deal. If you bought in 2009, it wasn't terrible compared to the prices right now. You probably doubled by now, right? 2008, still pretty good time. Even some homes are still a little bit overpriced, but overall, the home prices were like close to half of what they are now. So in the long term in real estate, even like inflation adjusted, if you just write it out, it's okay, typically. So, and lastly, you know, when the prices are declining, like now, for example, like San Francisco losing about 14-15% in last year. Now this is a little bit different scenario because San Francisco have lost its charm. The downtown suffered a lot. A lot of people left. This is like something that we haven't seen before, other than maybe when the settlers, when they moved to the gold rush, the West. It's almost like this. A very unique situation. This isn't something that we see every year. This is maybe every century that we may see pandemic like that. Hopefully it's a one-time deal. But San Francisco losing so much of that charm, now it's going to impact more. I think San Francisco may even lose another, I wouldn't be surprised, another 15%, maybe another 20%. But I can't imagine going down way like 15 to 20% below pre-pandemic level. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's say the median price in San Francisco before pandemic was just roughly 1.3 million. I can't see more than going down below 1.1 million, right? So right now the median is close to 1.4. The peak was 1.6. If you see 1.2, in my opinion, that's going to be a decent deal. If it goes to 1.1, maybe close to the bottom. If it goes to $900,000, something happened. But I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I don't know much about San Francisco market, but understanding the basics of the real estate appreciating and depreciating, that's what I'm talking about. So, but interestingly, Portland, Oregon, it's just doing just okay. We just like appreciated about 2% since last year, and we haven't really lost that much value. If you look at like a long term from the peak, we might be down close to maybe 6%, maybe 7%, but not more than that. And that imbalance of the supply and demand is pretty much what it's driving. It's like mismatched supply and demand, and the people with more money, they can still afford home. People with hedge fund investment money, they're buying up single family home. And so in a way, it's another battle between investors versus homeowners. Now, I want to stay on the homeowner side because I believe the more individuals own homes to get that the equity building opportunity in individuals' name is better for the whole country, better for the society, rather than big companies buying up 50,000 single-family home and renting those out to most of these people. So that's a whole other topic that I'll have to make another video, but I am passionate about the homeownership. Individual homeownership is one of the best way to preserve the wealth. The video is getting really long here, but find a way to get a home even when you have to find a roommate, even when you have to drive out 1 hour. 2-bedroom, 1-bath is okay, it's workable, and that's better than renting for 10 years and losing out on about $200,000. So I hope that makes sense, and thanks for listening and watching Sean Realty Podcast. If you enjoyed it, if you hit that like button and subscribe, it will really help. Thank you for your support and have a great day.